Hi parents, it's Kristen Lascola, junior high pastor here at North Coast Church in Fallbrook, and this is your weekend recap. What we've been talking about in junior high on Sundays and on Tuesday is based off of Larry Osborne's book called 10 Dumb Things Smart Christians Believe. And so we're going through these things that Larry calls spiritual urban legends, which are things that maybe we've heard our whole lives. We've maybe even read it in a book, seen it on a plaque, in a greeting card. It's just things that we've heard people say over and over our whole lives, so we just kind of accept them as being true. Yet when we look at the Bible, they really hold really no biblical basis, and they're really not even true. And they can be dangerous because we sometimes base our idea off of God and hold him to a promise or a standard that he never actually made. And so week one we talked about that faith fixes everything, just this urban legend that somehow if we apply faith to every situation, it'll just magically get better. And last week we talked about forgiveness and how forgiving is really hard. And one of the reasons it's really hard is because forgiving and forgetting are sometimes seen as the same exact thing when they're not. But what does biblical forgiveness look like? Well, it's not necessarily forgetting, having amnesia, forgetting what someone did, but you're giving up your rights to revenge on them. So we talked about that in a lot of detail. And this last Sunday, yesterday, we talked about kind of a hard truth, something that I don't really enjoy talking about, to be really honest with you, because it's a really difficult subject. And it's this idea that everyone is on their own path to heaven and all roads eventually lead to heaven, that dead people simply just go to a better place. And we hear that phrase a lot: oh, he went to a better place, or he was a good person. But we talked about how Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And we talked about how Jesus didn't say I'm a way, a truth, a way to God. I'm just one of many. Choose which one you'd like. He says, no, I'm the only way to God. And I think that's really hard for a lot of people to swallow, because we know a lot of people who aren't believers, that aren't Christians. And so I try to explain to the students, as Christians, we don't think we're better than anyone else. We don't think, somehow everyone else is dumb and we've figured it out. We're just simply following Jesus's rules. It's not my truth. It's not North Coast's truth. It's the truth that Jesus says pretty black and white, pretty plainly over and over in the New Testament. So we also talked about that verse that says that broad is the gate that leads to destruction and narrow is the way that leads to life. And by that, I think Jesus means that narrow meaning one way, and broad is, hey, choose your path, whatever you think is right, whatever you feel is true. And we know from looking at scripture that that's just not the case. So I told the students, I know this is a hard subject, but I hope what it really does is motivate us to tell others about God, because if we really do believe in heaven and hell, that should really affect the way that we're living, and it should really affect the way that we go after people and inviting them to church on our knees, begging in prayer for God to reveal himself to them. And so it should really change the way that we see non-believers, not just like, oh, it's just not for them, but that it's a really big deal. So I hope this kind of gave you an idea of what you've been missing out on the past few weeks, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.